Welcome to Wadeh Wednesday, where I talk about question and answers relating to our Arabi community for international Arab. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Tiffany Totah. I am a Palestinian American living here in the United States, and I am a marriage and family therapist. And every Wednesday, I talk about question and answers. So I'm here to support you in any way that I can. Hi, Mira. Good to see you. Hi, everyone that's joining. Aisa, good to see everyone. Today on Wadeh Wednesday, you guys are so awesome because you send me so many questions. I'm going to try and address as many as possible. If you want more mental health related topics, City Sunday, every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, I talk about a mental health topic. So today I just wanted to preface one of the questions, you talk to whom? I'm not sure what you even mean by that. I talk to Community for International Arab. So this content here is specifically for those that come from Middle Eastern backgrounds or Middle Eastern culture. Now, many times I get a lot of people asking me, well, Tiffany, the Arab are no different than any other community. And everybody struggles. I said, yeah, that's true. We all struggle. Yet, where do we go as Arab to get mental health information awareness? Where do we go? I don't know about you, but I'm a mental health clinician and I work with plenty of Arab. And, I work with plenty of Arab and, the bottom line is, hold on one second. I need to stop this live for just one moment. All right, here we go. Sorry, my kid came in. She was looking for something, interrupting me. So anyway, the Arabi in me, the Arabi parent wanted to yell at her, but I decided it's probably a good reason she was interrupting me. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about two questions that came in. Now, in this TikTok world where everybody has a 3-second attention span, I wanted to talk about something very, very real. If you think for 1 second that your For You page and you're listening to a 60-second video that you've watched for 5 seconds, that you are going to shift your mental health, that's not going to happen. Many times I get a lot of pushback. Tiffany, your videos aren't entertaining enough. Your content needs to be the bells and the whistles and I have to act like some actor. I'm not an actor, I'm a therapist, and with all the mental health content out there, why is our society still so messed up? And it's because many of us don't want to take the time. Why are relationships messed up? Why is our society not functioning the way they need to? And that's all over the world. It's because we have this instant gratification, this TikTokness. Let's fast, when that's not reality. That's why I'm going to take the time to answer the questions to give you value in you addressing it within yourself. And this is a topic I feel very passionate about because I am so tired of seeing all the suffering. So with all the information we have at our fingertips, why is there so much suffering? Because people aren't taking the time to really integrate what you're consuming in a meaningful way. So that's what I'm here to provide. This is what I want to bring to you. This is what I want to bring to our community because there's too much suffering. So I want to be able to help in that way. All right, let's see. Anybody have any questions that maybe I can answer before moving into? These are questions relating to mental health topics, maybe something you may be struggling with. Let's kind of get everybody to join in, participate. Let's see, looks like we've got people from Algeria. Oh, what about your life purpose? Azhar mentioned that. That is a huge topic. And one of the things that I get this question a lot with my clients, and they'll say, Tiffany, I want to find my life purpose. And you know what I tell them? You discover your life purpose in living. In living. People are seeking this existential, what is my purpose in life? Your path begins by engaging in life with awareness and mindfully. And that I do believe that there's this myth of purpose that comes, that we're all seeking this myth. And really it's in the day-to-day living, in you creating, the more you can lean into who you are, the more you will find your purpose. But somehow we're looking at it externally versus internally. So that was my quick tidbit on that. I could spend a whole hour on that question. Any other questions before I get started on the community? Let's see. Why mental health problems aren't that big of an issue in some countries, especially middle. Mira, thank you. Mental health problems are everywhere. Okay? Mental health problems are everywhere. In Middle Eastern, people will say, Middle Eastern people, ما في عنا anxiety, ما في عنا depression, ما في عنا هذا الأشياء into الأمريكان that you have. Well, newsflash, most Arab that I come into contact with come from Arabic countries that come here. They're saying, oh my gosh, we've got a lot of stuff happening. So mental health issues are not, my aunties would say that a lot. إحنا العرب, we don't deal with trauma. إحنا العرب ما في عنا alcoholism. ما في عنا eating disorders. ما في عنا هذا الأشياء. And I said, thank you, Sarah, because it's still stigmatized. That's why I created this community to begin to destigmatize and stop shaming ourselves for having really emotional and wellness issues. Now, anybody that comes from an Arab country, I always say the resilience of the Arab is unbelievable to me. The amount of stress and trauma and colonialization and genocide, all these things that occur, war, and it's just endless. And I think, how are any Arab functioning? So this is why this community is basing it on the strength. But if we don't talk about these emotional health issues or get tools, when بنجيب tools, we need tools. And I'm here to give you guys some tools and some reflection. And inshallah, we can destigmatize this so we can start talking about it within our families, within our friend group, to say, I'm feeling community. I'm feeling seen. Let's see, Nadine, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being a part of this community. And that's what feeds me to keep doing this every Wednesday and every Sunday. We need to talk about it. So here we go. Question, nobody has any questions? Nobody has any questions for me? All right. One question that came in, and this is so common. Yes, I'm a marriage and family therapist. I do lectures and workshops. And let's see, Sarah, what did you say? Ignoring isn't going to make it disappear out of nowhere. Yes, Sarah, you're absolutely right. إحنا بنفكر if we bury it, we ignore it. This is you know what I say to my parents, this is the Arabi way. Into you ignore it, you think, la, it'll go away on its own. It rarely goes away on its own. If anything, it gets worse. So by the time Arab come to me for, let's say their children are struggling with mental health issues, by the time they come to me, it's gotten so bad and so acute because they thought they could ignore it. They would fix it with Masadi. They thought, they could just love their child enough. And I said, yeah, by the time they come to me, let's address it sooner than later. Let's do this sooner than later. Okay. Mira, do you mind deleting the person I think you see it. Can you delete them? Yeah, thank you. He's ruining my vibe here. If anybody's going to come in with some negativity or some nonsense, you're just going to get deleted because there's too much negativity in our Arabi community already. And if you're going to come at our beautiful, healthy, loving community with some ratchetness, yeah, I'm just going to delete you because I can. All right, let's go. How many of you struggle with being indecisive? How many? Yeah, thank you, HHH. Yes, girl. Thank you. All right. How many people? Let's see. I think someone wrote, I do, me. Yes. How many of you struggle with indecisiveness? So we're going to talk about it within our cultural context. First, let's recognize what indecisive is. Do you have trouble making decisions? Do you overanalyze for hours your options over and over and over again? I have a cousin whom I adore and I love. Hey, she will thread for one decision 9,000 scenarios for weeks. And I go, yee, I'm exhausted just listening to you. I can't even imagine how you're feeling. Another one, do you tend to second guess your decisions? So once you make it, maybe you feel good about it, but then you start to second guess yourself. Another one that I hear a lot from Arab is we will ask everybody and their mother their opinion about a decision for our life. How many of you guys do that? You will talk to anybody. Well, what do you think? How's this? If I tell you this, what would you do? And this happens all the time. We're seeking external validation for our decision making, okay? And that's very, very normal. So if this is any of you and you struggle with indecision, know that this is normal. Now let's talk about growing up in an Arab household. For many of us, we were not allowed to make decisions around anything. From our food, to our clothes, to our career choices, to our partner choices, things we did, when rohna, when ijina, for many times, who we hung out with. So you have to remember that your decision making growing up, if all the decisions were made for you and you're wondering why you're a young adult and you have difficulty struggling with decision making, I want you to understand. Yes, thank you, Ryan Moore. I'm still not allowed to make most important decisions in my life, and I'm 32. Well, guess what? I'm 54, and my parents, if they had a choice, they would still be making decisions for me. In fact, a boy the other day, he goes, Mo, Inti, you don't make good decisions. And I go, Hayati Amir, Baba. How do I not make good decisions? They're just not your decisions. I don't tell him that. I say, tell you, yeah, he's old. He's 84. Haram. So yeah, you're 32. You can't make decisions. And then you wonder within yourself why you can't make your own decisions. I will address that, but this is why you guys always rush me to solutions. Take a deep breath, everybody. Look within yourself. What is this triggering within you? This is that instant gratification I'm talking about. Slow down. When I'm talking about these concepts, how does it relate to you? What is it triggering within you? Slow down. Be mindful about this topic. I don't make good decisions. What happened to me growing up? Now think about your ability for this freedom to make choices. If we did make a choice, many times we were shamed for making that choice. Who was punished for making a decision from when you were little? Maybe you decided to run outside and play. As simple as that. And you were punished for going outside and playing. Thank you, Elias. I appreciate that. Yes. How many of you, maybe you made a decision to do art or to tinker with something and they punished you or they shamed you. Yes. Nadine, I was shamed and punished for choosing my husband over my dad's choice. That's right. Lot of that. So remember, we struggle with decisions because many of us we weren't raised with the confidence to, we were afraid to make the wrong decision. We didn't have that skill to build, to become confident in our decision making because of the shaming, the judgment, and in some cases, the punishment. I hope the younger generation, the hitting and the physical abuse, I'm really hoping that has subsided. But I know for my generation, we got that corporal punishment. We had the belts. We had all of that. And then you were, so think about it. When you're a little kid, I'm letting you know, if you got your butt beat with a belt, yeah, you're probably not going to want to make decisions. Do you see where I'm coming with that? So don't shame yourself and don't judge yourself for being indecisive. I remember growing up, I was a rebel. I mean, my poor parents, ya haram. I feel bad. Like when I think about my parents, I fought them from teenager probably until like a few years ago, because I wanted my independence. I wanted to make my own decisions. And when I started to assert my independence, sometimes my siblings felt some kind of way about it. Sometimes they were angry or resentful. And my parents, if I could go back to my younger self, I think I would have done it more gently, more lovingly, with more understanding of their fears. Okay, so this is where we have to work together with the generations to be more compassionate with one another. I don't recommend being the bulldozer I was, because I was fighting them every step of the way, and that really caused me a lot of pain. And sometimes in proving them wrong or wanting to prove them wrong, I made not so good decisions because I was like in the prove it, screw you mentality, that I wasn't thinking clearly on my own decisions. Don't do that. Don't prove to them your your independence. Do it in a way that you're mindful around your decision making. Now, when you choose to do something for you, like Nadine was saying, like a partner or a husband or a career choice, right? That many times it's la 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 la. I even cut my hair short, right? And my aunties would go la 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 la. I couldn't even cut my hair without having some judgment towards it. Or they would go, yee. How many had the aunties that go, Saweti hek, into labis hek, into hatet earring. Maybe you want to zhuzh up your hair or do something different. And it was like you couldn't even make that choice over your own body and your own autonomy without the lah 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 and the yees, which can reinforce guilt and shame within you. Okay? Reinforcing guilt and shame within you. So, and that's a very powerful thing to keep you stuck and in not making your own decisions and keeping you in that mode of indecisiveness. Now, many times, one of the biggest things I hear from people from our culture is, Tiffany, ana khaifa, ana khaif. I am so afraid of making the wrong decision or making a decision that's going to go against my family because I may not belong to the family anymore. I may not belong to the community. That's what Western mental health does not understand. When if you had a non-Arab therapist or a therapist that doesn't come from a similar culture, just cut your family off and make your own decision. To an Arabi kid, you're like, what? We don't cut our families off. And if I make a decision that's going to impact my family, that could mean significant implications on them. Because my mom would share to me all the time that when I decided to leave the country and go for the world, that she had to carry the burden of hearing my grandfather or hearing a community shame her for allowing me to make my own decisions. I wouldn't want that for her. She carried that burden for me, and I'm grateful for that. But are there ways that we can make decisions for ourselves without this backlash for our parents? And so this is what I want us as a community to really start thinking about: our decision making. How do we maintain our autonomy and our independence while still understanding that our parents may get shamed for our decision, and how can we gently move through that? Now, many times when we're indecisive, it leads to significant anxiety in even making the smallest decision. A small decision can throw you into a tailspin around even as simple as what to eat. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because when you're in a tailspin over the smallest of things, you may feel guilty, or you may shame yourself. Like, I should be able to make this decision. And I'm here to let you know, have grace with yourself. Have grace with yourself because of our cultural experiences. These things may put you in a tailspin and cause you a lot of anxiety because of the backlash. So I want to share a simple story around the first time I went to therapy. And my therapist asked me, what do I need? I was 21 years old when I started therapy. What do I need? What do you mean, what do I need? No one's ever asked me what I needed. I was very confused by that question. Never has anyone asked me in my 21 years of life up until that point what I needed, because my needs didn't matter. So when it comes to your indecisiveness, one of the first questions you need to ask yourself is, what do I need? And it may be a very foreign concept to you, the way it was to me. So when he asked me that, I go, what are needs? I asked him, what are needs? He goes, what do you mean? What? I said, I'm not sure what needs are. So he said, let's start with making a decision, choosing around a restaurant of where you want to go eat. So when your friends say, hey, where do we want to go eat? And you're like, oh my, go wherever, I don't care. He said, I need you to say, I want to eat this food. I was terrified. I go, what do you mean? I have to make a decision for the group, and my people pleaser came out. I felt debilitated to make that simple decision. When I leaned into it and I actually did it, and I said, when my friend said, hey, let's go to this food or that food, I said, well, I'd like this food. Nobody cared. In my mind, I thought this decision was going to harm other people. Like, you have to remember, your anxiety will take you to this catastrophic place. Nobody cared. No one died. We all went to go eat. And weirdly enough, when I'm eating the food that I preferred for that night, I felt empowered. I said, wow, something that simple. I could feel really good about myself in that. So this is where I'm trying to explain to you guys, we got to start with the smaller decisions before we move into the larger ones. And it's going to strain, when you make a decision for yourself to maybe not go to a party or not go somewhere so that you could relax, this is how you build confidence. So you can ask questions. I'm going to keep going. So what are the characteristics of somebody that's decisive, right? You have that one friend or that one coworker or that one classmate that, man, they have a clear vision of their goals. They trust their instincts and listen to their inner voice. You're like, oh my gosh, who are you? They have confidence when they make a decision. They're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. This feels really good. And you start to go, I don't think I could do that. They make decisions timely. So when they say they're going to do something, they do it. They take calculated risks. Now, many times, people within our community, I'm going to say in general, we are very, very risk averse. We don't like to take risk. So a lot of times, decisive people will take calculated risks. And that's where I'll encourage you to go through the pros and cons of a decision. So that's one thing you can do, pros and cons. So you can make an informed decision. You collect the data, right? You collect the data on this decision you're possibly trying to make. You assess the pros and cons. You enumerate the consequences of it so that you can make a calculated risk. Now, many times, because we're risk averse, that ability to take a risk but calculated may be stunted. The other thing that decisive people do is they take ownership of their choices. Now, because we come from a culture of a lot of victim mentality, that taking ownership, like if I made some pretty poor choices growing up because I was trying to prove my parents wrong and I wasn't doing things mindfully. Well, some of these poor choices, I had to take ownership of that and go, yeah, I made that decision, not the best, but each decision, even though if you take ownership of it, it will lead you to your next path. So I always tell my clients and my cousins and my family members, I tell myself, try not to put too much on the decision. If you make a calculated risk and you do it mindfully and it may not be the best decision, just know that, think of it like a layover at an airport. When you have a layover, you're sitting there, you're kind of waiting around, you will get to your destination. And decisions are very much like the layover. Sometimes we make decisions, the layover is an hour. Sometimes it's 2 hours. Sometimes the layover is 30 minutes to 6 hours. You know, sometimes the layover depends on you, but you have to remember when you make a decision, that's where you will get to your destination. So, some solutions. Again, you want to be mindful. Better time management. Greater productivity begins with you saying, what is this decision? What am I afraid of? How do I move forward around that? You want to be, and every time you make a decision, a small decision, you are building that confidence within you. You are building it little in the smaller things. Okay? Even as simple as what do you want to wear or what do you want to do for the day? So much of our lives are dictated to what our families need, our partners need, that we lose sight of the small decisions that you can make for you. And every time you do that, you're letting your body and your nervous system know, I care about you. And that's what builds confidence to some of the larger decisions. And it reduces anxiety. Because I tell my anxious clients who are in this ruminating loop in the 9,000, I just say, stop. Make a decision. You've thought this through. You've done the pros and cons. Just make a decision. Now, I can let you know, once you make that decision to open up that envelope, to send the email, all that ruminating, you're going to go, oh my gosh, none of what I was thinking happened. Why didn't I make this decision 5 weeks ago? I suffered for so long. That's okay. You have to build it like a muscle. So try not to beat yourself up and practice more on making those small decisions. More often than not, it will decrease your feelings of depression because you will have this self-advocacy. And that could be as simple as choosing to say no to something so that you could do something for yourself. Again, no one's going to die. Everyone's going to be okay if you take the time to make the decision for you to do what you need to do for you. This also, if you can really work on your indecision, it improves relationships. How many of you have that friend that, let's say you're planning a vacation or planning to go out, and this friend doesn't make a decision and you're waiting around for them? What happens? Anybody want to put in the comments? Somebody in your life that's indecisive and their indecision makes an impact on the greater group. What are some of your feelings towards that person that has a hard time with indecision? Anybody want to share in the comments? I know for myself, they ruin my plans. Well, yes, they can make plans more complicated. It's frustrating. They don't need to ruin the plans because a lot of times those indecisive people, because as Arab, we people please, we got to wait for fulano to say whatever. I've reached a point in my friend group and I said, hey, we're moving forward. They're either going to jump on board or not. That's how you build confidence in decision making. And usually they turn it around because it is very, very frustrating. My husband hates when I say Zayma biddak. Oh man, that is a phrase, Zayma Bidak. Why do you think a person would hate Zayma Bidak or Zayma Bidak? Now, my mother loves Zayma Bidak because she loves that phrase, right? Because she likes everything being done for her. But when you have a partner that says it's to avoid conflict, yes, because it goes to that people pleasing, risk aversion. You don't want to assert your need because you're afraid of what his experience might be. And so we do this in relationship. And I could say for Arab women, in my experience, that builds up resentment and hostility and being upset because you're saying, Zayma Biddak, but you're not really looking at with it and why he gets upset, because he knows at some point, he may not want to carry the responsibility of all these decisions. And depending on your own emotional health and well-being, you may come back and say, well, you did this, but I really wanted to do that. And it causes a lot of strain in relationships. So this is, how can you work with your partner and your husband if you're afraid to make a decision? And maybe he wants you to make the decision because he wants you to have what you need. And it puts him in a real crappy position when you say Zayma Biddak and he has to make all the decisions when maybe he wants to please you. And he wants to tell you, Habibti, I want for you to do what you want. And because of our own indecision, our own people pleasing, our own shame, we are robbing our partners or people in our life to give us what we need because it makes them feel good. But then we are constantly deflecting on making these decisions because we're afraid. So you work with your partner on that. You work with your husband on that. You work with your friends on that. If they're making problems in decision, don't let them ruin their plans, ruin the group's plans. You guys keep going with your plans. And as is a bizalu or they get upset, that's their problem. Khalihum mabsutin. My last video. Let them. That's on them to figure it out, not you in the group. Their indecision is not your problem. And if you do this, know that they're not obligated to you in any way, shape, or form. All right, so there it is. Many times when we make a decision, it's important, I'm going to finish up with this point, is start with the small decisions and build that confidence. But you have to be clear. Yes, the let them theory, loving the book by Mel Robbins. I love that too. I did a video. The Arabic equivalent for me is Khalihum Mabsutin. Let them be where they're at. However, you need to be where you're at around your own decisions for your own life and move us out of this victim mentality that you have no power, no control. That's not true. That is absolutely not true. You know why? Because I and many of the people in my life and clients that I worked with, we have been able to stay a part of our culture and be a part of our community and be able to have autonomy and self-efficacy. So I know through experience, professionally and personally, we can, but you need to move yourself out of the victim mentality. You need to have courage to make your own decisions, starting off small decisions. It could be anything. And I'm talking real small. And if you think, and go even smaller, because many times what I hear from Arab is you expect with all the trauma, all the anxiety, all the depression to make these huge decisions and you become stuck and debilitated. I said, we're not there yet. Slow down. Figure out what your needs are. Identify what your values are. And your values may be in conflict with what our culture's values are. You may not see the value in some of the things that they advocate. So you need to be clear. Well, you don't need to do anything, but I'll encourage you to be clear on your own values first and what your goals are. Because I can tell you that no matter what I did to assert my independence with your garden variety Arab parent, they want you in their life. So all that fear, all that fighting I did, I didn't really have to fight. I needed to be clear on what my goals were and what my values are. And I would have gone to doing those things without fighting them, because really I was fighting myself. I was fighting my own fears, my own indecision. And so stop fighting yourselves. Be clear. Stop being afraid of what may happen, because at the end of the day, our families want us to be with them. And that's what we forget. I'm not talking severely abusive out of parents. I'm not talking about these extreme situations. I'm talking about just in general. Just, I call them garden variety oddity parents, because most of us have this experience. They want you in their life. So don't be afraid to make these decisions for yourself. All right. Any questions about indecision or making a decision? I think that's really all I have to say about that is sharpen your instincts. Trust your instincts. That's another thing. So many Arab that I know and that I work with have amazing instincts. But because when we were little, that was knocked out of us. We were shamed, punished, guilty. That now it's about trusting what you know and giving yourself permission to act upon it. Because most Arab that I know, oh man, those instincts are spot on. Because growing up, we had to sharpen. We had to know when we walked into that room, you saw all the aunties and amos and community. When you were little, you had to know exactly to attune to what they needed, what they wanted. Fimtu? So that's why it's such a strength of ours, but it was suppressed. So now we're awakening within you every time you make a decision, every time you trust your instincts, but making sure your instincts are coming from a place of clarity. Because many times I hear from people, Tiffany, I trusted my instincts calling the sweetie wahad atil, or somebody that wasn't good. And I said, was that your instincts or that was your trauma response? So that's for another video. That's for another time. But this is why sitting down, getting clear on your goals, getting clear on your values, calculating your risk, doing it from your needs versus the community's needs. And then you can slowly and mindfully move through in your life, gently. Don't do what I did. Don't fight. It causes so much suffering. My poor siblings, I feel so bad for them because none of them took risks, because I was so busy fighting and siyah and punching walls and doing all kinds of stuff. I was a fighter. I'm being very honest with you guys. And if this is you, know that your siblings are watching, and you may indirectly be impacting their ability and their own autonomy, because they're saying, holy crap, my older sister's getting her butt beat every day and she keeps coming back for more. They're like, I'm not doing nothing. So I have to make amends to my siblings and say, I'm sorry that I was such a rebel rouser, that it may have impeded your ability to take risks, because it was traumatizing for them to see me getting harmed. You see? So this is where, and not that I'm taking responsibility for that, they need to figure that out on their own. But this is where your decisions are not just your decisions in our culture, that they have a ripple effect to everyone around you. So all I'm saying is do it compassionately, lovingly, and being aware of why you're doing it. That's why getting clarity on your needs is important. My sister learned from my mistakes for being submissive, and she became a fighter. Yeah, but you could see how some of these decisions impact our family system. All right, before we wrap up, there was one other another question I wanted to answer around uqbalik and how to empower oneself, but I'm going to table that because I feel like we've really covered a lot of ground today. And so I wanted to thank each and every one of you. Yes, Dr. Abby, you said, and self-love. I absolutely agree. But self-love comes from self-confidence. And every time you can make a decision for yourself, not only when you build that confidence, then you start to feel that love for yourself. And for some people with significant trauma histories, that may take a long, long time. So all this talk of self-love, it's a beautiful thing. And I just say, can we not do self-loathing? Can we start with that? Okay? I appreciate this community so much. Thank you for watching the videos, becoming a part of this live, being able to, somebody asked a question, let me see. SM, how long did you take to talk fluent in English? I was born and raised in the United States, and I'm definitely not fluent in Arabic at all. No Arabic. I try. I'm going to start taking Arabic classes because this community means so much to me, and I want to be able to articulate myself in the best way possible and connect with everyone in the best way possible. But thankfully I have Mira, my assistant, who's able to read your comments in Arabic and be able to help me in that. So thank you, everyone. I hope this was helpful. Go about your day, make good decisions for you. And I'll see you on Sunday, City Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to have a mental health topic, and we're just going to keep this community going of positivity, love, and healing. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great one.